Welcome, everybody. Welcome to No Offseason Media. I'm your host, Amari Jackson. In with me is a Super Bowl champion, great cornerback, guy came straight out of Michigan, D1 school, David Long Jr. Thank you, David, for coming in today. Really appreciate taking the time out of your busy schedule to be here with me for a short period of time.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here and just speak with you.
Thank you. You have won a championship with the Rams. How did it feel to win that championship in front of your home fans in terms of like LA and Pasadena area?
You know, I guess, now we're a year out. I just watched another team win, so we're no longer, runner like the, defending champs. But the feeling was just like I can't really describe it. I've never really won anything of that magnitude at any level in any sport. I've never really won any championships. So for me to be able to win it at the highest level, it was like I really didn't know what to expect or how to feel. And I guess, just kind of the lead up into it, I really wanted to win for the guys around me a lot more than myself, because I was a younger player. It's my third year in the league, and we had guys like Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Eric Weddle that came back who had a long career, and you wanted to win for those guys because their contributions to the league and just how long they've been fighting to get that opportunity to go and win. So for me to kind of win it on my first try was just like God's grace and just blessing to be healthy and be able to participate. So I just wanted to do my part and help win for those guys.
How does it feel to have those guys in the locker room? I bet it makes everything a lot more easier for you in the secondary because you have one of the greatest pass rushers in the NFL with Aaron Donald, and having a buddy like Jalen Ramsey, who is a man-to-man corner such as yourself. How does it feel to have those two guys in the locker room and a sack tackle leader like Bobby Wagner?
Just all of those guys, great minds. I think that's the biggest thing. They changed the overall mentality and the culture, and I guess just like what would I say, our identity on defense. Having guys like that are established and know how to win, know how to be successful, and know what it takes. Is I think that's the biggest thing. When you're on the field, it's just like playing pickup in the backyard with your friends, and you have better players than some people, but overall, I think it's really just the mentality and the identity of the defense and the team, and then those are also just good guys to be around. So, like I said, it's really great to just be around them off the field.
How were you able to adjust your game from Wade Phillips to zone-heavy defensive coordinators like Staley and Raheem Morris?
Well, we are zone heavy, but a lot of it is carry, so it's like zone match. We don't really have any true like spot drop zones. But I embrace all of those changes. At Michigan, I played pure man-to-man coverage. And then here I had to learn to be more visual, looking at the quarterback on different coverages and just passing things off, which was an adjustment for me coming out of college. But I embraced everything, and I felt like I was able to add some things into my tool belt to just that will help me further down the road rather than just being a guy that can only play press man or play man to man. So it was, like I said, it was an adjustment. But I really love football. I love watching film. I'm a film junkie. So just anything that I can dive into and try and sharpen my toolbox and add something to my game, I'm going to dive into that and really attack it. So over the last 3 to 4 years, I've really just been perfecting that and getting better at that, but also, trying to refine and maintain my man-to-man skills.
Your fourth year didn't pan out the way you hoped to be. You were injured most of the season. I remember a couple of games watching you because I'm out here in the Fontana area. I remember you playing against the Saints when I think it was Andy Dalton at quarterback with Taysom Hill went back in their alternate throwback uniforms. You are a pending free agent as of right now. You hope to be back with the Rams, I'm assuming. But you tell me, has there been any teams, because free agency is about to start on March 15th. Would you be open to the idea of moving potentially out of California if a team comes calling?
I'm gonna be honest, man. I really don't. I kind of I'm treating this kind of the same way I did with the draft. Um, I don't really prefix my mind on anything. I'm open to everything. I just try and control what I can control, and that's being in the best shape that I can and being prepared and great for whatever opportunity comes. Whether it's here or somewhere else, I just try to be ready for that. Because everything outside of that I feel is like outside of my control. Because if I could control it, then I'd probably have made a decision by now or figured it out. But there's so many moving pieces. Coach is still getting hired. Players are probably going to move around between now and draft day. So there's a lot of pieces that have to move, and I understand that, and I'm not impatient. Like I know my opportunity is going to come in some way or form. So just trying to be ready for that, and take advantage of that, and also take advantage of the things that I control. Getting my body back together, training, being in the best shape that I can be. I try and really limit my time focusing on things that I really don't have my hands in, and I just let my agent handle some of that communication and get back to me. But like I said, I kind of just handled it the same way I did with the draft stuff. Just controlling what I can control and then leaving everything else up to God. Just staying healthy, getting ready for the opportunity.
Has there been a player or even multiple players that you have modeled your game after?
Wow. A guy I watch a lot of tape on is like Brent Grimes. And then I've always been a big Darrell Reeves fan. I try to watch people that are similar to my, stature and my body type, because I know that the way their mindset and the way that they're attacking the ball and covering guys is going to be similar to the way that I would. And just in general, I also just like watching film. I watch some guys. Jalen Ramsey, he's a great player, freak athlete. I can't really model my game after some of the things he does because he's gifted in ways that I'm not. But like I said, I still like to watch film. I watch some of his old tape when he's playing, the Steelers in the AFC in the playoffs, and watching the matchup against him and Antonio Brown, or even him and Tyreek Hill, early on in his career. Those are just great matchups. Just, not as something to model my game after, but just to see guys compete and watch some good film. So like, I guess I say, Darrell Reeves, and Brent Grimes are guys that I probably watched a good amount of tape on.
You are the first player to catch an interception at SoFi Stadium in the playoffs. I mean, a lot of people can't have that on their stat line, even a professional player. I mean, Brady, we have seen Brady break different types of records. We've seen Peyton Manning have the most MVPs in league history. What are your short-term and long-term goals that you hope to accomplish in the NFL?
Um, I just, I feel like the same way I feel in life, every year is going to be, my best year. I feel like I can always improve going into the next year. So that's my biggest thing, is just to, like, I just want to keep pushing my ceiling up. I kind of felt like I felt where the floor can be, but I don't know where my ceiling can be. And so I'm always, like I said, always trying to add things to my tool belt and just continue to put that together, and just try and get I guess the best keep recreating myself for the best version of myself. I guess as far as like long-term goals, be a full-time starter, and just like I said, just keep raising the ceiling. I really don't like to set goals for myself. I just try and go out and dominate. I mean, I feel like there are times where I've set goals for myself and I've blown them out of the water, and I wish I would have set my goals a little bit higher. And then there's times, you kind of shoot yourself low, and then you go above that and you feel the same way. You're like, man, I wish I would have play something higher. So I just try and go out and be the best version of myself that I can be that year. Last year I went through some struggles, but that was the best version that I could be in those moments, dealing with injuries and everything else that was going on. So, going into this next year, trying to be the best version of myself, you know, uh, that's about it. I know I have full capability to, be the player that I want to be the player that people want me to be. So just continuing to strive for that and beyond.
So I want you to take me and my audience in through what was the toughest receiver you have faced. I mean, you're going against Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk of the San Francisco 49ers, and DeAndre Hopkins and Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore of Arizona, and especially with Seattle with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And you guys had to play that versatile quarterback in Russell Wilson, who now flocked to Denver. Who has been the toughest receiver in your career that you have faced? You can go back to your rookie season or even until now to this point. Who is that difficult player? And tell me why.
Um, you know, first and foremost, I think there's a lot of good talent across the league, and your success is very circumstantial, and it's based off of opportunity. All opportunities aren't created equal, so there's a lot of guys that get more opportunities. So those are the household names that we see, but there's a lot of guys that we don't really talk about that are really great receivers. But I mean, I'd probably say just from a film standpoint and me playing and just watching, I played against Antonio Brown during the COVID year. And just from a film standpoint and just what he can do, I think he's very well rounded. And he's one of the better receivers that we've seen in the last 15 to 20 years. There's a handful of other guys that could go in there. But I feel like, it just all depends. You can lock a great player up one week, and then a guy who's considered technically no name can come and make plays, and that's the beauty of the league. Everybody is capable and has the opportunity to play at a high level every Sunday. So I just truly respect game. But like I said, I was a Steeler fan growing up, so there's a little bit of bias there, and me saying Antonio Brown, but I think he's a really good receiver, does a lot of great things. Growing up, it was somebody who I modeled my work ethic after. He's a guy that works really hard on the field and off the field in terms of his training, how he takes care of his body. So like I said, I think he's just a tough receiver to guard. I'm sure a lot of other people will agree. The stats say so, and film also says so, and he has a long list of accolades. So I'd probably go with him. There's a host of other young guys that are good players, good receivers. But just off the top of my head, that's probably somebody that sticks out. That's household name.
Let's talk about something deep. You have a foundation that you're associated with was a student for kids international projects known as SKIP,
Yeah.
which provides services for children and incarcerated families and parents. What inspires you to help underprivileged families, such as like in LA County or elsewhere?
Oh man, I feel like I understand the limit that we have or the setback we have from a resource standpoint. And I feel like I was able to make it here today. I didn't will myself here. It was because people were generous with their time and their resources. So now that I'm here, hindsight looking back, I'm always trying to help somebody else that needs the help, because it, the resources or even just time can, give somebody the opportunity or just the push to go above and beyond. I think a lot of times in our community, people sell themselves short, not because of, their dreams, but, it doesn't really seem realistic with the resources they have or, maybe the support that they have. So any way that I can lend some support, whether it's, just my time, my resources, or whatever the case may be, I'm trying to help. Because I know that we're at a disadvantage. And I feel like growing up, I was constantly fighting against that, whether it was trying to get to a better high school for better resources or whatever the case may be. I understood that there was a lack of resources in the community. It's not a lack of talent, not a lack of knowledge. It's a lack of resources. So I'm always trying to help and, I guess close that gap because the difference between our communities and other communities isn't really much. There's not much of a difference. It's just a resource standpoint. So just allowing people to connect the dots and really get their ideas out there and I guess utilize that knowledge and creativity, whether it's football or something else. Even what you're doing right now, just giving people the resources and the outlets to do what they want to do.
One last deep question here.
All good.
January 2nd, the Buffalo Bills are playing the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Absolutely.
And Damar Hamlin, we all know what happened during that situation, collapsed onto the field. Where were you and what made you think, could you play the same position as him? I mean, you are an African-American male. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys fight through a lot of adversity as just a football player and as humans. Where were you during that situation and what was going through your mind?
I was at home watching the game. I'm pretty sure it was a Thursday night game.
It was Monday night.
Oh, it was Monday night. My bad. Monday night game. But it was just I don't know. I mean, it's tough, like I felt like when he laid down, I knew something was wrong. But, we had open dialogue about the situation that the next day with the Rams. And I think my mindset has always been like, I understand the sport that we play and how dangerous it is. I think people forget because of maybe the money that we make and, how flashy it is and how, fun we make it seem, but it's still a dangerous game. So for me, it was like, if anything, I just felt for his family. I was hoping that he was okay and felt for his family. But I know some people. I went to school with some people that are really close with Damar, and I know that I'm not gonna say that he would rather be hurt, but he wouldn't rather be anywhere else than be playing on the football field. That's a blessing that we don't take for granted. So I wasn't really like scared or anything like that. I feel like growing up, I've seen plenty of things. People being paralyzed. There's all kind of things that happen consistently on the football field that people don't really talk about. And there's even more, minor injuries that are more like that, not more deadly, but they're deadly as well that people don't really get, they don't speak about. So there wasn't necessarily ever an element of me thinking like I don't want to play or, anything of that nature. But I feel like anytime somebody goes down on the field, you always feel for them because this is the way that they provide for their family. And you're just also worried about their long-term health. So I think that was just the biggest thing, just like the long-term health. It wasn't really about the severity of the game or how dangerous the game is or, whether we need to try to protect players or anything like that. I think, this is just a dangerous game we all love to play. But just in that moment, like I said, I'm just thinking about his family, if he has kids, his girlfriend, whatever the case may be, like that's tough to see, a loved one like that in that situation. So, I'm glad that he's okay and, he's pushing towards, making full recovery and even returning to playing football, by God's grace.
Yeah, we've seen like injuries like Ryan Shazier and Johnny Knox of the Chicago Bears. I mean, and the late Jerry Hughes is the only player that actually down the field. And I was back in 1957. I
Yeah.
mean, I was sitting here watching the game at home with my dad, literally in my room, because football brings family together. It's a family sport. You know that, I know that. Everybody, it brings people together. Even though we hate each other, like you may be a Steelers fan, and I might be a Patriots fan, or whatever
Yeah.
fan we may be. The power of football is what brings us together as a unit. And sometimes I think we get away from that experience noticing that, oh, these are football players that make a lot of money. And I think fantasy football kind of deteriorates a lot of stuff because it's like we always so stat driven, like we got to get the points, we got to get the points, we got to get the points. But we don't realize about how valuable these NFL players' lives are. I mean, they're still human, you know what I'm saying? They're still
Yeah.
people. They go work. I mean, even though you guys are not technically 9 to 5, you guys still have a job to do, you
Yeah. I
know?
mean, I'd say like, just kind of like you said, and um, that probably would piggyback off the question that you asked me a while ago, or when I maybe like two or three questions back about like what's the most difficult thing is, like it's tough to kind of balance that out. Like you say, like we're treated as, entities as like, performers, entertainers, but it's like at the end of the day, like you said, like we're still human beings. So it's it's kind of tough to find that balance, like and like I said, it's just I think that just kind of brings everything full circle and brings everything back down to earth when like situations like that happen because people don't think about that. People don't think about the dangers that you put yourself through in order to get, paid or to just be here and work this job. So like I said, when that happened, I was really just feeling for him and his family and just hoping that he was all right.
One last question before I let you go. Um, what advice would you give any student or anybody that's in the youth? What advice would you give them who have dreams of making a professional level, regardless of the sport, football, basketball, whatever it is? What's one advice that you would give them to stick with?
Man, I I feel like just the best thing I could say is, there's no substitute for hard work. Like you got to put the time in and not necessarily like doing it with the end goal in mind, but it's like I used to always tell myself, like there's people that work their whole lives for opportunities that never come. And like you have to be okay with that. Like you gotta love the work. You gotta really want to, put the work in, put the time in. And, over time you'll accumulate gains and you'll get better and better and better. But I feel like it's tough now, like I'm not old, but this generation of kids that have so many things working against them with like social media, like just everything is so many distractions. I feel like a lot of people should just focus on making small gains and getting better every single day. Don't worry about embarrassing yourself. Don't worry about, feeling any type of way. Just trying to continue to try and put the work in. Because, the opportunity that you think you may be working for may not be the opportunity. And I just say that in the sense of, you may think you're working out for something that's coming up in a month. The month may come up and you may, bomb that. But 3 months go down and you get an opportunity and now you're prepared because you've been working that whole time, if that makes sense. So like people just have to kind of keep that working mindset of just like every single day I'm trying to stack a block. And like that's how I felt when I was growing up. It wasn't about, you know, who's the best or all this other stuff. I was really just trying to get better. Any and every way that I could, I was trying to get better, add anything to my game. And I was just hungry for that, just hungry for the next opportunity, and I feel like that's what always kept me working. I wasn't really hunting a preferred outcome because I feel like that can discourage you when you're like you're working and you're just working for one thing and you're like, if I work out, I'm gonna do great at something, and then when it doesn't happen, people they begin to get discouraged. But it's like if you're just trying to get better, it's never a loss, just a lesson. You just keep going, keep growing. And I feel like that's for anything, whether it's professional sports or just anything in your what you want to do in life. There's gonna be moments where you hit roadblocks, have some adversity. But if you're always hunting a positive outcome, like that's when you get discouraged. You just have to just take everything in stride and try and get better. And then if you really love it, things will work out in the end.
Thank you for the word of advice, David. Really great to appreciate it. Hey, if you have any interest of being a sports journalist or sports commentary, you got the job for it. You got me over here tearing up right now. Thank you guys so much for watching No Offseason Media. I'm your host, Amari Jackson, with Super Bowl champion, great cornerback. I wish you the best of luck in your future as an NFL cornerback, David Long Jr. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you. Appreciate you.